Steam's Next Fest has been and gone yet again. If you've not heard of Steam Next Fest, it is a showcase for new and upcoming games where you can try out their latest demos for free. This week I've tried over 10 cozy game demos, and today I'm going to be sharing with you all of my thoughts and feelings on the ones that I tried. Some of them I did not want to put down, and some of them I don't think I'll be picking up ever again. I apologize if I still sound a little congested or a lot congested. I promise I am feeling better, I just don't sound so great, so I do apologize for that. But without further ado, let's get into this. Don't forget to like and also subscribe if you want more cozy game content. I promise I will sound less sick in future videos. First up, I decided to take a step back in time with the Abbess Garden. This one is a historical gardening simulator, and it's set in an abandoned abbey in France. You play as Agnes, a young peasant who is trying to revive a garden and bring it back to life. The gardening mechanics were nice. I loved being able to inspect the soil and track the plant growth in the journal. It was kind of a lovely touch. The planting could have been a bit smoother though. Sometimes it wasn't necessarily all that clear where I was actually putting things. It might have just been a small bug, and it was kind of hit and miss at times, so I wasn't sure what that was all about. What surprised me most was how strong the story was. It almost felt like a visual novel at times, with a lot of historical detail, and there was some solid writing here. I personally wanted a bit more of a focus on gardening and less reading. I'm not really here for too much text in my video games. I'm all about kind of gameplay. Visually, it is third person, which I liked, but the character design did feel a little off, and it definitely wasn't my favorite. Agnes also kind of glides across the garden like a ghost. I really hope that's something that gets polished a bit later, as it does feel a little weird. The music fits the time perfectly. It's very calm and relaxing. However, I couldn't find a volume control anywhere, which definitely needs to be added. Developers also, can you please change this font? Because when italicized, it is really hard to read, and I don't kind of have many visual problems. Yes, I should probably wear my glasses more, but I could really think that this might be hard if you are hard of sight. Overall, it is slow paced, no pressure, with the right cozy vibe. This is just not one that I see myself revisiting. Perhaps it was a rogue choice to begin with, but this might be a good one if you are a fan of history and you love storytelling, particularly with those two combined with your cozy gaming, then you may appreciate this one. At number 2, we've got Piece Together. This one is a beautiful mix of storytelling, scrapbooking, and a little bit of light puzzling. This game follows the heartwarming friendship of Beth and Connie, and it's told through letters, photos, and little mementos that you can organize into a scrapbook. You get to decide how everything's arranged, add cute stickers, and do a few small puzzles like fitting clouds into right spots. I absolutely adore the art style of this one. It's soft, cozy, and really comforting. The music also fits perfectly here too. It really helps create those nice vibes. This kind of game I'd love to play handheld, curled up in bed or on the sofa, and I really hope it becomes Steam Deck verified, or they're considering adding it on the Switch. I haven't looked into that, so I'm not sure if that is in the plans as of yet. The demo for this one was quite short, but honestly I was a little sad when the demo ended, as I just wanted to keep going and see more of what Beth's and Connie's story was all about. There were a tiny few elements where I was like, oh, that could have been a bit smoother, like for example when you were dragging out the text of the letters, but apart from that, I think you are going to really enjoy this game if you enjoy games such as Instance, which is another kind of scrapbooking game. Then you are gonna absolutely love this one, and I'm very excited for the full version. I think it's going to be one that you can probably complete in maybe 1 or 2 sittings, which is always good. Then we have Spooky Express. This is a Halloween twist on the puzzle game Cosmic Express. So if you like the look of this gameplay, but you're not really all about Halloween, then maybe give that one a try. This one is releasing soon. It's coming on October 21st, which is obviously just in time for Halloween. The concept for this one is very simple. You lay down the train tracks to deliver the passengers to their destinations, but there is a bit of a twist. The tracks can't cross, so you really have to think and plan out how the tracks are going to flow nicely. And since it is obviously spooky season, you've got to keep the humans from being eaten from the vampires, because that would be a disaster. The demo levels were pretty easy, but as you can see, this one does get trickier later on. The track placement did feel smooth, and it's nice to see how easy it is to undo your mistakes, and you can just start over with like the click of a button, so it's really easy to do. Visually, this one is perfect for this season, yet it still feels bright and cute with just a little nod of eerie here and there. Spooky Express is definitely one I'd pick up when I'm in the mood for a chill puzzle game with that Halloween vibe. I absolutely loved the film Babe growing up. If you've not seen this film, it is about a little pig who wants to become a sheepdog. Because of that, I absolutely love the concept of this next game, which is Sheepherds. I've seen the demo for this one floating around a few times in the past, but I thought I'll finally give it a go this time. Sheepherds is a cozy, but it is also slightly chaotic, as it does have a little bit of action in there, and you play as a dog who is responsible for herding sheep back into their barns. This is predominantly advertised as a co-op game, but I did try the demo solo, and it was still a lot of fun. As I progressed through the levels, they did get progressively harder, and there were lots of objectives to accomplish. The requirements varied from getting a certain amount of different coloured sheep, but also not getting them wet, which was definitely more challenging than it sounds. There was a nice incentive to keep going as you unlock more adorable dog outfits, and who doesn't want more of that? My personal favourite was definitely the aerobic corgi. It was giving 1980s dance class. I would love to try this with friends. I think it would definitely be a cause of a lot of laughs, maybe a little bit of frustration, but definitely a lot of laughs. I finally also got to try one of my most anticipated games for next year, Starsand Island. This is a life and farming RPG that has everything you could want: farming, fishing, raising animals, crafting, and so much more. Honestly, I was a little worried as the game almost felt a little too ambitious, but I am hopeful that it can deliver following trying the demo. The demo starts with character customization. There were some really cute outfits and a nice range of skin tones. However, I couldn't seem to change the hair color, which I do hope gets added later. Gameplay wise, the tutorial felt helpful. There were pop-up windows like you see in games such as Story of Seasons. However, maybe these were a little bit too frequent at first. They seemed to be popping up left, right and center, but it wasn't anything major. The island itself is stunning. It's peaceful, bright, and really well laid out. I love that the town is close to the farm, and traveling around on the skateboard made exploring so fun and quick. There are also other modes of transport that you can try, which hopefully means getting around this map will not be a drag. I enjoyed the job system and the leveling up, and also how forgiving the stamina felt. You can get so much done in one day. I personally tried focusing on the crafting and the farming quests, and both were pretty well designed. I cannot wait to explore the other activities. There really is so much to do in this game. Socializing does seem pretty easy to progress with too. There are some cute romance options. Maybe they do look a little bit on the younger side, but the conversations themselves did at times feel a little bit stiff. This is probably due to the machine translation that they've kind of implemented for the demo. I really hope that this is just a demo issue, and again, that will all be smoothed out for release. Overall, Starsand Island lived up to my expectations. There are a few similarities that will feel familiar from other games, such as the star point system. However, it did still feel fresh and not a carbon copy of any particular game. I cannot wait to see the full release, which will be coming early next year. Definitely give the demo a try if you can. It has a good chunk of time. You can get 4 hours out of this demo, which is pretty impressive. So if you do have opportunity, definitely give it a go. The next game I tried was the absolutely adorable Little Corners. This one reminded me so much of those simple line art colouring books, except instead of colouring, you actually decorate your little corner by placing stickers. There are 2 different scenes that are available with the demo, and I tried them both. You have the Alchemist Lab and the Astronomer's Tower. It was so easy to place the stickers and alter their position, which I really appreciated. The UI was also nice and it was quite easy to see and kind of use, so I'm appreciative of that. One of my favorite things was just how many stickers there were. Even with only the 2 themes, I could have created so many different designs. With the first one, for example, you could have definitely gone for a more kind of castle-y look, or there was the witchy options as well. So it does feel like this one is going to be really creative, not restricted, which is good. I do hope that they add a few quality of life features later, like a grid mode would be handy, just so you can turn it on and off, just so you can get things lined up nicely, or the ability to duplicate stickers. I don't know if I just missed that one, but having the option to place more than one would be really appreciated. Overall, this one is incredibly cute. It's very calming and cozy. I'll definitely be playing the full version of this one when it comes out. I cannot wait to see what other beautifully themed rooms that they do add to this game. Then we are onto another kind of similar genre of cozy game. This is Cozyrama. I do love a good decorating game, but normally having cozy in the title can be a little bit of a red flag, but this one did pleasantly surprise me. There is no denying that this is very similar to other sandbox decorating or diorama games on the market. You are given a catalogue of items and the space to decorate. It is very much a sandbox game, which is perfect if you just want to sit back and relax. One thing that I did appreciate was the focus on the exterior decorating, and there were really some nice prefab buildings which came with the game, which is always appreciated. Water terraforming was also part of the demo, which was fun to experiment with, and you could make lakes and ponds. The grass feature was also a nice touch, as you can have control over how overgrown you want your area to be, which I don't think I've really seen before. The demo only had a limited amount of items available, however, there was definitely plenty enough to experiment with, and I did like that they were kind of clearly themed and they were all separated out into different sections. I am curious about what there'll be upon full release and what kind of other avenues they'll go down with the furniture items. Another thing that I don't think I've seen before in sandbox decorating games was the inclusion of being able to place freely animals in the game, which was a nice kind of touch and something a little bit unique. Overall, the decorating mechanics themselves though were pretty smooth, and I like the ability to size up items, and the placement of things was good as well. One thing I wish they had included, or I really hope that they are working on, is an undo button. This seems to be a tool that developers of these games always seem to forget, but it is oh so important, trust me. I did have a nice time playing this one, and I would be interested to see the price point of this one. If it is priced right, I may be tempted to purchase it, but this genre does have a lot of stiff competition with games such as Tiny Glades, which is definitely overwhelmingly popular. It does also have me questioning how many of this type of game do I really need in my game library, and I don't think it's necessarily all that different or unique from the other games that are already in my library to say that I need to purchase it immediately when it does release. That being said, we won't have long to wait, as it is scheduled for a Q4 release, so maybe there will be something in that full release that will have me adding it to my basket. Cropia was up next. The name of this one definitely isn't all to my taste, definitely a questionable one there, but the graphics looked kind of cute, and it's a farming sim, which I always love to try, which is why I gave this one a go. Initially, I was thrown straight into the tutorial, and it was quite straightforward. I was given tasks such as crafting tools, speaking to NPCs. The first bit of farming I had to do was to plant some tomatoes, which sounds like a simple task, right? Yeah, very simple, but I had to do it 48 times. I think I probably understood how to do this one after the first tomato, and 48 was highly unnecessary, especially when the watering can just seemed to go down so quickly. This felt like it took forever. I was also able to get my first chickens, which again was straightforward. You buy the coop and then you purchase the chickens. I also had to buy some feed from the shop, which strangely didn't stack in my inventory and was just chucked on the floor despite me having enough inventory space. Very odd. I also was required to do some foraging for materials, and this is really where I began to notice the stamina in the game. It decreases when sprinting, which I am 100% not opposed to, as it does regenerate pretty quickly, but it did seem to go down very quickly just from sprinting, so it did take me a while to figure out what was going on here, and yes, I did faint on day one. A little bit embarrassing. I also do have to say I'm very concerned about the well-being of the animals in this game. Do we call help for them, or maybe perhaps they're just on invisible treadmills? I'm really not sure. There were a few things I did like in the game, including the map. I appreciated that there were a way to see when the shops were open from there. The gameplay did run pretty smoothly, and I also did appreciate that there was a little cat companion that followed you around. It is those small things that make it for me. But sadly, I'm not sure this one is for me. The demo was very short, so perhaps it needed longer for it to cook, so to speak. There is obviously a lot that could still change with this one, but something about this one just didn't click with me. The world felt a little bit empty, and although initially I thought the graphics were cute, I think I changed my mind, and the NPCs in particular reminded me of me characters, which I just think they should stay in Nintendo games. That's enough. I will keep an eye on the development of this one, but I'm not sure I'm going to revisit this one, honestly. Another honest point I have to say is that I wasn't a big fan of Everdream Valley, and I was a little bit skeptical when I heard that the team were releasing Everdream Village, but the beautifully crafted trailer drew me in, and I decided to give the demo a try, and I'm kind of glad I did. Right from the start, I could see that there were clear improvements, not just in the visuals but also in the gameplay itself. The demo doesn't currently feature character customization, however it looks like this will be included in full release. If you are thinking of trying the demo or it does release at another time, it is worth noting that it was a timed demo and there was a countdown visible on the screen, which I didn't enjoy, as it does add a little bit of pressure to progress quickly rather than just enjoy things at a relaxed pace, which was a bit of a shame, but ultimately that is a demo specific issue, not a game specific issue. The story itself begins differently this time around. Instead of heading to help your grandparents on their farm, you're now stepping into the role of a village mayor, trying to restore a community that's clearly seen better days. You'll encounter a mix of familiar faces and brand new NPCs, which did add a nice sense of continuity but also freshness at the same time. The majority of the early quests were kind of tutorials, and they were very fetch quest heavy, but that's understandable kind of at that stage in the game. I really do hope that the full version introduces more variety as the game progresses. One feature I particularly enjoyed was the crafting system. It uses a mini game where you physically assemble the items at the crafting table by fitting the pieces together like a puzzle. It is refreshing and interactive, and I really like the idea as it adds that kind of interactiveness, the engagement, which is better than just hammering on the table repeatedly. That said, it could definitely be a bit smoother and kind of polished it off a little bit just to make it a bit more user friendly. However, it is nice that there is also a fast craft option for once you have made the item once. I think that's kind of the requirement for it. Not 100% sure though. If my memory serves me correctly, I also don't believe that the farming mechanics have changed all that much since Everdream Valley. It still feels a little bit clunky, and I have missed having a grid system. Crops can be placed anywhere, which sometimes is a good thing, but sometimes it's not, because you can't really see where the placement is and you can't line things up, which is not always fun if you like to have things organized. It obviously works, there's not a problem with it, but it could just be refined a little bit better. The world design, however, does feel expansive. There's so much potential here. There's going to be so much to explore, and obviously I didn't get to see much of it within the time limit, but what I did see was promising. There is also no stamina bar, which I actually love because that means that you can go off and explore without restriction, and the music does complement that idea as well. Very calm and cozy, which is good. Overall, while it's clear that this is still an early demo, there is quite a few rough edges here. Everdream Village is showing a lot more promise than I expected, and there are improvements over Everdream Valley, which is good. It's also nice to see that the developers are being really responsive and engaged, so I'm optimistic that there could be a bit more potential with this one than there was to the first one. Another farming and life sim that I tried was Trade Tales. Sadly, this experience wasn't as positive. Now, I know it's still early in development, but honestly, I'm not sure at this stage whether this demo should have been released at all. First impressions of a demo matter so much, and this one felt just a little bit too rough. Like most games in the genre, it starts with character customization, and that was featured in the demo, which was good, and it seemed kind of promising. That being said, until I got to the clothing options, and some of these probably should be recategorized. This is probably like a really minor thing, but my character was basically running around in what looked like a bra top and dungarees, which wasn't a great look. You can adjust your underwear, which is a little bit of a strange workaround to it. I don't know why they decided to do it that way, but I think this could be done a little bit better. The gameplay got off to a little bit of a slow start too. The character movement felt sluggish. At first, I thought it might be lag, but I'm not sure it was. When I began farming, the oversized trees made it really hard to see what I was doing. Even with the camera controls, which I did appreciate, you could move around quite a lot. It did feel a little bit annoying, and I didn't want to waste my limited stamina chopping those trees down right away. There is a hotbar, which is kind of a staple of farming life sims, but a small frustrating detail about this was that whilst I was playing with mouse and keyboard, I couldn't use the number keys or my scroll button on my mouse to switch the tools. I had to like manually click each one, which kind of broke my flow, so I didn't appreciate that either. The game also has personal needs like hygiene, so I decided to take a shower and immediately noticed that this abandoned cottage was surprisingly fancy, like it had a grand piano, not exactly the rustic farm life I was expecting. The shower situation was also a little bit funky. When I explored the village, I came across a car which instantly teleported me to the city with like no explanation. The city had some familiar brand knockoff, lots of donuts, and apparently eternal daylight since it was 9 p.m. and still had bright blue skies. Not sure about that one. I didn't really stick around on this occasion and just decided to get out of there because I wasn't really sure what was going on. And after my first day, I had planted a few crops, showered, accidentally visited the city, and gone to bed with no real direction on what on earth I should be doing. The second day was much of the same. I did a bit of farming, some mining, which I found the cave, which was pretty impressive all by myself. And by 9 a.m, all my stamina was gone. Meeting the locals didn't really help fulfill me either. I found one guy sitting on the floor by a bin. There was no way to interact with him or ask if he was okay, so I just kind of left him there. And when it rains, you can actually get sick if you don't use an umbrella, which honestly just feels very tedious. Raincoats have been around for maybe hundreds of years. Can we use one of them instead? I tried going back to the city, but most of the shops weren't available. Another reoccurring issue in this demo, you can't go very far. It is a shame because I do think that there might have been potential here, but I really think the developers should have waited before releasing this demo. It doesn't really feel like it is at the stage where it should be ready for Steam Next Fest, as you should only be able to enter a demo once, and to use this as your one opportunity, that may have been a mistake. It reminds me a bit of New Leaf Memories, which I tried last year, another early demo that really gave me a bad first impression. And in total, after 4 days, I just gave up on this game. I found myself bored, out of stamina, and out of motivation to continue. I really hope that they do take the time to polish this game, because right now it does feel unfinished, directionless, and I want to believe in it that they do have potential, but as it stands, I probably won't be jumping back into this anytime soon. And finally, we have Vending Machine Co, which is actually due to release in Q1 of 2026. This is a brightly colored vending machine management game from the creators of Ship Inc. It's set in a charming Japanese city. Your goal is to set up vending machines, purchase stock, fill them, and then sit back and let the customers do their thing. You will have to think wisely as to what you are going to stock, as there are some favorite items of each particular area, and the variety is also an added perk. With your profits, there are quite a few upgrade options, but also make those decisions wisely, as restocking, paying rent on those machines can get quite expensive. The game has a few little mini games such as cleaning the machines, which do help break up the game, but they aren't anything challenging or particularly special, but they do add something just a little bit extra. Overall, the concept is really cute and the gameplay is very relaxing, but there is definitely room for improvement to enhance the game a little bit more. Firstly, the idea of hot items is good, but it just needs to be more visible, and the end of the day seems like a drag. The mornings are busy, you're tending to your machines and restocking, but for the rest of the day, you are kind of doing nothing. And the customers are not fast flowing, so you're kind of left with nothing else to do apart from go to bed. I'm not sure if this is just an early game thing and maybe it becomes busier later on, but it definitely needs to be something to keep you hooked in the game as opposed to just standing there waiting for someone to buy your stuff. I could see this one being like the developer's previous games, where they're rather simplistic yet cozy and at the lower cost end of things, which I'm not complaining about, as it could be a great game to switch off to. However, I am just going to put this out there that I think this one could get repetitive very quickly. So just a bit of a word of warning there. So there we have it. There is everything I tried for Steam Next Fest. Let me know what demos you tried and what your thoughts are in the comments. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you again soon with another video. Bye bye.